I want to talk directly to Cincinnati Bengals fans. I'm going to talk about two stories. One is how I believe that Joe Burrow has been and really is being held back by his team. And we'll get to that in a minute. But number one, I want to say I'm concerned about the Bengals. And Bengals fans, the Bengals fan base does not want to hear anything negative or any concern about their team. Bengals fans want to believe that their team's going to do well. And if they can interpret any story positively or even brush it aside and brush it under the rug, they're going to do that because Bengals fans don't want to hear negative stuff about their team. And I don't blame them. I get it. They want their team to win. They want to have hope. They're desperate for it, and they want things to be good. I think they're in denial. I think that's harsh. I also think it's true. Now, maybe I'm wrong here. Maybe what I'm about to say is idiotic and stupid, and I'm certainly going to hear about that from Bengals fans. I'm going to get called an idiot here by loyal Bengals fans. But I think it's more because they want what I'm about to say to be wrong, rather than because they know what I'm about to say is wrong. It's what they want, not necessarily what's true. Either way, there are two stories to me that are telling about the Bengals. They're telling, and for me, they're concerning. Number one is, you ever heard of Trey Waynes? Why hasn't cornerback Trey Waynes been signed yet? He agreed to a 3-year, $42 million deal in free agency with the Bengals. Yet he hasn't actually been given the piece of paper. Hasn't been paid. Hasn't signed a legally binding contract. He moved his family to Cincinnati. He's there in the city, ready to go. But the Bengals haven't paid him. And they're waiting to give him the paper to sign until he can take a physical with the team doctors. And it's very weird. I have to ask, do they not have the money to pay him? Do they need revenue from other stuff before they can pay Trey Waynes? I don't know what's going on. Or maybe they're like, well, if we don't have a season because of COVID-19, we're not going to pay this guy at all. Screw him. He's by the wayside. And I understand that COVID-19 is a roadblock where it's going to be harder to bring guys in. But you notice that Cam Newton very quickly had a physical in New England and made it happen. Every other team has already signed their players, done a physical, brought them in, and paid them money. Yet Trey Waynes is in limbo waiting for a physical because the Bengals aren't doing anything. They're not moving on it. He can't even work out because if he does work out and he gets hurt, then he won't pass a physical and he won't get his contract. Trey Waynes is in limbo, not able to do anything. He's in Cincinnati just waiting on his, quote, new team who's treating him very badly to make something happen. It's a bizarre situation where Trey Waynes is just kind of been hung out to dry. Now, here's the second story. A story came out where the headline roughly was that the Bengals have asked Joe Burrow to slow down in meetings because he's way too far ahead. They want him to slow down. They want their rookie quarterback to slow down in meetings because he's too far ahead. And Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan even said, they tell him, hold on, I'll answer that question in a couple days. We're not there yet. And my first reaction when I heard that was, oh no. The Bengals can't keep up with Joe Burrow. I mean, this is not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. Now, some people say, now let me clarify. Bengals fans say that, they're just slowing things down so that other rookies can keep up. And maybe that's true. But even if that is true, you don't tell a guy like Joe Burrow, hold on, I'll answer your question in a couple days. You, at the very least, say, hey, Joe, let's talk privately and we'll answer your questions. You don't leave him hanging. Now, the question needs to be asked, who put this story out there? I don't know that it was the Bengals. Maybe it was the Bengals. Maybe they thought they were bragging about how smart their quarterback is. But it's kind of weird because it really makes it sound like the Bengals coaching staff can't keep up with a rookie quarterback and they can't answer his questions. Or maybe did Joe Burrow put the story out there? Is Joe Burrow the reason we're hearing about this? Is Joe Burrow starting to realize the frustrations of playing for the Cincinnati Bengals? His teammates aren't getting paid. Trey Waynes has not been paid. Can't even get a physical. Even though he's in the city, he's there waiting, ready to go. Joe Burrow's teammates are not answering his question. What am I saying? His coaches are not answering his questions. He's got questions about the offense, and the coach is saying, we'll talk about that in a couple days. So maybe Joe Burrow put this out to signal that there are issues ahead for the Bengals. Or maybe he just vented to the wrong person who leaked it to the media. Now, I'm going to tell a story. My dad told me to tell this story. We were talking about this today earlier. And my dad says this is his favorite story about me as an athlete. I transferred high schools my sophomore year. Right after my sophomore year, I moved to a new high school on the other side of the river. And I got the playbook on a Tuesday. And Thursday was the day we were shipping out to go to team camp at Oregon State. We all get on a bus. Our entire team goes. And we go scrimmage a bunch of teams at Oregon State University and stay in the dorms for a week. And I, as a quarterback, I knew I was not the biggest. I was not the fastest. I didn't have the strongest arm. But I knew I could study the hardest and make sure that I knew the playbook. My strength was my ability to know the playbook. That's what I got by with. I was accurate, had good footwork, and I knew the playbook. And in 2 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, bam, Thursday, I'd already memorized the entire playbook I was given. I had access to the film, and I had access to the playbook. And at OSU camp in a scrimmage, it was the end of a camp tournament where you're having a bunch of scrimmages to see who wins the entire camp. And at the end of the championship game, we had a play called Burst. Burst was a bubble screen, and we needed a big play at the end of this scrimmage. And I said, hey, coach, can we run Burst Sucker? I think he'd be good in this moment. And my coach looks at me and goes, how do you know what Burst Sucker is? It's not in the playbook we gave you. Now, Burst Sucker was a bubble screen and go, where the outside receiver would fake like he was blocking for the bubble, then release and go vertical. Usually it was wide open. Kind of a double move. And I saw it on film, and the name of the play, Burst Sucker, was in the tags on Huddle. And I went, oh, that's a play in the playbook. Okay. I said, I saw it on film. My coach said, all right. Said, we ran it. Touchdown. Won the entire Oregon State championship. Won the scrimmage. I loved the playbook. I loved the nerdy side of football. That's why I love the game of football. And you can't limit a guy who loves the nerdy side, the playbook. You can't limit a guy like that, someone who's learning and cares about that. In college football, I ran into coaches who didn't like that side. I had an offensive coordinator in college seemed bothered by nerdy football questions. He didn't want to talk about that stuff. He felt like, I think, threatened or something weird was going on where he didn't like having conversations about the game. When I said, hey, what's the running back doing on this play? He needs to be in pass pro, but if we do that, we're outmanned, we need this. And he often didn't have answers for me. I was so frustrated because I'm like, dude, I have a question. Your scheme for pass protection doesn't make any sense. It happened all the time. And I wouldn't get answers. So Joe Burrow was like I was, but times 1,000. Joe Burrow he's on another level. And I can only imagine that Joe Burrow feels held back and frustrated. I get you got to go at the pace of the other guys. I totally understand that. But again, if you got to slow down for the other rookies, then Joe Burrow and the coaches need to meet one-on-one and answer his questions. If you're a quarterback who's a rookie, is way ahead, and he wants to know the playbook, answer the questions. I've never heard a story like this where a coach told a rookie QB, hey, slow down. We're not ready for you to be at this part of the playbook yet. It's weird. You shouldn't limit someone's learning. You got to adjust your approach. The Bengals sound limiting. They don't sound flexible at all. And then again, why hasn't Trey Waynes been signed? It makes no sense to me. I don't understand. I want to be very clear. If Joe Burrow fails in Cincinnati, it will not be his fault. It will be the fault of the messy Bengals organization all around him.